How to stop bad leads from clogging up your calendar. We've all been there. We either have leads that we think are going to no-show, or leads that just give terrible answers in the booking form, and we're pretty sure they're unqualified. When you get leads like this, how do you make sure that you can still open up your calendar to let other leads come through and not clog your calendar up? What you don't want to happen is have a bunch of no-shows on your calendar, people that aren't confirming their appointments, people that have never replied to you, people that have put potentially unqualified answers on the booking form. You want to make sure that they don't clog the calendar so you can keep getting more and more calls booked in. And this is even more exaggerated if you have a sales team. If it's just you, it's still important to make sure your calendar doesn't get clogged, but if you've got a sales team, it's even more important. The reason why is they're going to get pissed. If you've got a hungry closer who wants as many opportunities to close as possible, but 50% of the bookings aren't showing up, they're very quickly either going to get pissed off with you or just end up leaving the company, which is not good, especially if they're a good closer. So today, I'm going to be teaching you the method that we use to make sure that even when we have these iffy appointments in our calendar, we still don't miss out on potential people that could have booked into them slots. You'll get what I mean in a second. So just a quick shout out, I actually learned this from Charlie Morgan and his team at Imperial Mastermind. So thank you guys, this has been a very, very helpful tool. So let's jump straight in. So what is this method actually called? We called it the ghost calendar. And how it works is every single one of your reps, so whether it's yourself or you've got reps or whoever it is, every single salesperson that's taking calls in your team, all of them will have a ghost calendar. What a ghost calendar is essentially a clone of their current calendar, but associated with a different email address. So for example, let's say your name is John Smith, right? Your email might be johnsmith@email.com. And that is your normal email. That's the one you use for all your Zoom meetings, all your Google Calendar invites. Everything you use is johnsmith@email.com. What you need to do is create another email address, but call it johns@email.com. And essentially, this user is treated as a completely independent sales rep. These emails are not connected in any way. It's completely separate, right? It is a completely standalone thing. That means that they need to have their own Zoom room. That means they need to have their own Calendly account or Calendly user, whatever you want to call it, right? Anything that you need for your sales reps, obviously not things like PayFunnels access or like Stripe access, that doesn't matter. But I'm talking about just like the actual booking of appointments, the things where you're booking them in. So Zoom's obviously a Zoom meeting needs to be created, Calendly so you can connect into their accounts, all that kind of stuff. Anything like that needs to be created for this johns@email.com. And this is the ghost calendar. Ghost calendar. Cool. So once you set this up, you're then going to have two different Gmails as well, right? So two different Gmails, two different Google Calendars. And so how it's going to look, if you were to look at your Google Calendar, you're going to have the days of the week, right? So you got Monday, Tuesday, I'll do it for Wednesday. You know, you get the idea. You got all days of the week, right? Normally when you look at this, how we run our calendars anyway is that we have it 24 hours a day. So we have our Go High Level set up, our Calendly set up, every kind of calendar that we have is all set up so that the reps have 24 hours availability. So in the calendar itself, this is a little bonus trick. We have 24 hours availability. The reason we do that is because I don't want the reps going into their accounts and like trying to change their calendar settings. Oh, I want to only be available Saturday till 12 p.m. because on Saturday I've got my nephew's birthday party and whatever crap it is, right? I don't want them to play around with any of the calendars. If they want to take slots in the middle of the night because they're traveling, great. If they want to take slots at different times, like I want them to have full range to be able to do that without having to ask me. I don't have to keep going in to the calendars and updating it. Oh, for this day they're going to do this, whatever else. That's an admin nightmare. We don't want to do that. So what we have is literally all the way from like 12 a.m. till 12 a.m. over here, right? 12 a.m. Tuesday. This is completely free for all of our reps, right? Completely free inside of Go High Level and Calendly. But what we do is we get the reps to put their own busy times in. So then what will happen is the rep will come into here and let's say they don't want to take calls between the hours of, I don't know, maybe like 12, let's say from 8 p.m. in the evening all the way till 8 a.m. the next day. So they want to have like a 12-hour gap, and that's a 12-hour gap to obviously sleep and chill out and whatever they want to do, right? So what they do is in Google Calendar, they set up a busy time. So they literally go to Google Calendar, set up busy. I'm sure you know how to do that, right? They set it up. So what will happen is from 8 p.m. So let's say this is 8 p.m. here, all the way till 8 a.m., right? That will be there. And this will just be a normal booking, like literally just like an event in their Google Calendar. And we call this busy, literally just busy, right? And this will be called busy. Like I said, it's a Google event, Google Calendar event, right? That way then, when Go High Level and Calendly, even though they're open 24 hours availability, when they look at the calendar, they can say, oh, this rep's actually busy from 8 p.m. till 8 a.m. Therefore, the calendar's only going to let people book in from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Hope this makes sense so far, right? That's the first little trick we do, by the way, just to make sure the reps don't let them piss about calendars. It's a nightmare, right? That's the first thing we do. So how we run it from here then is that this, for example, is the real calendar, right? This is the John Smith calendar, right? Similarly, obviously, as a separate Google account, we now have the John S calendar, right? And the John S calendar, we have Monday, we have Tuesday, we have Wednesday, etc., right? But with this calendar, rather than having these blocks, literally what we do is we break it down into hour chunks. So this would, for example, be 12 till 1 a.m. This one here would be an hour chunk, and this would be 1 a.m. till 2 a.m. And we go all the way down, right? So all the way down till we get to, we got like, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And we've got all these little chunks, right? These are all hour slots. And it literally goes all the way down. Every single slot, all the way up to the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, every day, every 24 hours of every single day is broken down like this. The sales rep has access to both of these calendars. So they have access to the John Smith and the John S on Google. But they have access to the Google calendars, right? So then what he does is, let's say you get a booking. Maybe you get a booking at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, right? But you've tried to call them. They haven't confirmed. They haven't answered the phone. You've sent them texts. Hey, looking forward to meeting you. There's no reply. It's literally, you know how it is. Like, there's literally radio silence. Crazy how some people book appointments and then just like completely go radio silence. Weird. But anyway, people do it, right? So let's say you get one of them leads in here, right? And you're sitting there thinking, well, look, I've got a packed out day already on Tuesday. And maybe your Wednesday's already getting full of all these slots. And you're sitting there Monday night thinking, this guy has not replied to me. I want to be closing. I want to be getting more and more deals through the pipeline. So I would rather have potentially someone else in here. But you don't want to cancel this call, because if you cancel this call, the guy could show. And if the guy shows, you're kind of like, oh, well, that was a wasted opportunity. You've got to pay money if you're doing ad spend or cold calling or whatever you're doing. There's some sort of resource that goes into getting these appointments on your calendar, right? So you don't want to waste them. So you don't want to just cancel it and just open up the slot. So what we do is this 10 a.m. slot, right? We keep this. We get rid of the cross, right? We keep this exactly as it is. But then in the John S calendar, this 10 a.m. to 11 slot, we delete this from the John S calendar. So now at 10 to 11, right, we now have an open slot. So literally it'll look like this. It'll just be an open slot. So if someone wants to look at the calendar now, in your calendar, you're going to have John Smith, John S. You're going to have all the ghost calendars, and you're going to have all of the real calendars in that one calendar where people can book in. So now when people look at the appointments, there's going to be an extra slot now available at 10 a.m. Even though it's full up on the John Smith calendar, the John S calendar is going to have a spare slot. So now it's very easy for someone to book in because it's literally open, right? But then what happens? You might be thinking, yeah, well, then we're going to have a booking. Let's say someone gets a booked in slot here, right? So you've got a lead in here at the 10 a.m. slot, and you've also got a lead in here. Well, now you've got the option, right? So now what I'd be doing is I'd be looking at both of these leads, and I'd be thinking, right, which one is more likely to turn up and which one's probably more qualified, right? So this 10 a.m. lead one here, let's say all of a sudden you book another lead in, you open up the ghost calendar, another lead's booked in, and now this guy has replied to you. And he's like, hey man, so sorry, I was really busy. I'm so excited for our meeting tomorrow. And he seems really qualified. And this guy hasn't responded to anything, and he seems a little bit less qualified, right? Well, then you can still take this original call. What you need to remember is that each of these have their own independent Zoom links, right? They're not the same Zoom link. They're independent Zoom link because it's separate profiles. They're completely separate. The Zoom's profiles are completely different, right? So it's separate meeting links. So then your rep or yourself, they can literally decide which Zoom link do they want to join. Do they want to join the Zoom link from the John Smith calendar, or do they want to join the Zoom link from the John S calendar? It's up to them which one they want to join. All they've got to do is make sure they're logged into the right Zoom account, click on it, and then they'll attend. Let's say you pick this one. You want to attend this lead here, right? Great, cool. You attend this Zoom, and it all goes really well. Everyone's happy, right? Well, then what you've got to be careful of is now this guy, right? Let's say he joined the Zoom as well, and he's like fully wanting to speak to someone, and now all of a sudden you haven't turned up. You've no-showed the lead, which is obviously terrible, right? What this does is this leads to bad reviews, it leads to Trustpilot problem. It leads to a lot of people get really angry if you did, because it's essentially disrespect. You're disrespecting them, right? You're saying you're not important enough for me to show up, right? Obviously, you don't want to be doing that. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you've got a template already ready to go inside that email, okay? So let's say you join this Zoom room, right? The blue one over here. Let's say you join this blue Zoom room, right? The guy shows up just before you actually let him into the room and start talking with him. Again, there should already be a template for this, right? In that, literally what you want to do is just say, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm having technical issues, family emergency, whatever. Make up some excuse, right? Send it to that guy and be like, I'm so sorry. Here's a reschedule link. Can you please find another time? And I'll make sure I'm 100% there for next time, right? Hopefully he's fair. Most people are the first time. They're not going to be dickheads, hopefully not. And they'll reschedule, right? So you've then been able to still talk to this lead here, which is great. And you're still going to get this lead here, right? Obviously, when he reschedules in, Now you've got to be careful, right? You don't want to have him book in and then you look at that lead and go, oh, maybe you forget his name, whatever, and you think, oh no, this guy is just like a random lead. I don't want to speak to him. I want to open up the ghost calendar again, right? If you do the same thing to this guy again, the guy that booked in here, you are asking for a lot of problems. Again, like I said, you get bad reviews, Trustpilot, people just send you horrible emails. They just get really angry, and it just ruins your reputation in business, right? It's not a good thing to do. You shouldn't do that, right? You don't want to let people down. It's not good. So when this guy does rebook, you want to make sure that you mark it as a different color in your Google Calendar. Maybe let's say, for example, all your meetings are normally all in blue, right? When they come through in the Google event, right? The Google Calendar event. For this one, you want to make sure that when it comes through and you recognize the name, you make sure you mark it in red, right? That way then you know that anyone that's marked as red in your Google Calendar, you've already no-showed them once. So don't do the ghost calendar thing again to them, because like, or if you do the ghost calendar for any reason, like make sure you turn up to this one. This one has to be the one you turn up to. Otherwise you're going to cause yourself problems. So like I said, this is something that I've been playing around with and it's been working really, really well so far. It's definitely been a game changer for making sure that we don't lose calendar availability to these poorer quality leads or to leads that are just no showing and not showing any kind of connection with us beforehand, right? We want to avoid them leads as much as possible. So this has been great for that. Like I said, shout out to Charlie Morgan and his team for teaching me this. It's been very, very good. So hopefully this tactic helps you. Hopefully it means your closers now get more opportunities to close and you make more money, which would be awesome. If you've got any questions, please post as a comment down below and I'll be more than happy to reply and help you out. Cheers.